Be cool, be kind, be classy. The cupcakes so sweet and sexy. Have fun and enjoy the journey. Just have a good attorney. No big whoop, no biggie. She lives near New York City. Not just a YouTube show. When you know, you better grab a straw. Learn about the law. It's cool here in the shade, sipping motions of lemonade. Cool heads will prevail, kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Oh, Melanie Little is going live. Oh no, where is Melanie? Follow the island's melody. Is a concert within reach. No surprise, she's at Jones Beach. She heard some music far away. Captain Jack Stack Harbor Bay. He sings and his piano plays. Not all sounds are waterways. Speaking Yiddish and Latin, it's not just for Manhattan. It's for Goethe and Machegas. Ridiculousness that insanus. Oy vey, Marcus. Proset, that's for schmucks. Be cool, be kind, be classy. My cupcakes are sweet and sassy. And not just a YouTube show. When you know, cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Melanie Little is going live.
I'm muted. I don't know. StreamYard changed all their stuff and I don't like change. How's everyone today? Good morning. Today is Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. It's hump day. Happy hump day, everyone. I saw Becky in the pre-chat said you started watching Goliath. Isn't it great? Isn't it great? Do you get Billy Bob now? I never got Billy Bob Thornton before until I watched Goliath on Amazon Prime. And he's so good. And now I get it. I get it so much that I started watching the new Landman season. Only one episode is out so far. And then I started rewatching Landman again. And I think I'll rewatch Goliath again because it's awesome. I feel better. Thank you. Yeah, it's better now. I know I thought it was gone too, but it's back. It's back. You know, it just takes a little rest is all. A little rest. We have some new papers that Mark Bederow submitted in the Aidan Kearney case. And has there been proof of life on Cosgrove yet? Kazi G, has he surfaced? Does anybody know proof of life? Is he like with Mello somewhere in hiding and witness protection? And has he been rehomed? I don't know. It's crazy. Oh, Chris started watching Goliath too? It's great, right? So cool. So good. So good. A little creepy. That the season with Mark Duplass, I forget which season it is like super creepy. So like just trigger warn yourself on that just to know that it's really some really effed up stuff that goes on during that season. But, you know, if you guys are watchers of true crime, maybe you won't think it's so sus. Interesting stuff. There's a girl that went missing on a Carnival cruise ship. Did you guys see this? There's a young girl. I think she's like, I don't know. Let me pull up the story because I'm going to have to dig a little. This is another rabbit hole that I'm going to fall into. There's a girl who went missing on a Carnival cruise ship. She was traveling with her family. Was she 18? I thought she was younger than that for some reason. And the FBI is investigating. They were from Florida. You know, if I could find the actual story, that would help me because I hate to give you the wrong details. But there hadn't been a lot of details on what exactly happened to this girl, and they're still not really saying what happened to this girl, but she was found dead in her cabin by, I think, her family because she didn't show up. She's a cheerleader. She didn't show up for breakfast. Here it is. I found the story. And so she's a high school cheerleader from Florida. And her name is Anna Kepner. She's 18 years old. 2 weeks ago, she was discovered dead in her cabin on November 7th on a Carnival cruise ship. And the family wasn't given a whole lot of information about what happened. But now, apparently, it came out that her body was found underneath the bed, wrapped in a blanket. She was wrapped in a blanket and stuffed under a bed in on the Carnival cruise ship in her cabin. She was on a 6-day Caribbean cruise with her family. And it seems that now they're eyeing the step sibling of the girl. This New York Post article just says step sibling. It doesn't say step brother or step mother. But this is tragic. And there's a picture in the Post of, it looks like maybe they have 5 kids, or maybe, the 5 kids combined. And she's a high school senior. Very sad. Scheduled to graduate from Temple Christian School in Titusville in May. And apparently she said she wasn't feeling well and she went back to her cabin and she didn't come to breakfast the next morning. And they were desperately searching the whole entire boat, which carries about 4,000 passengers. And then a maid stumbled upon her body under the bed. I don't know if she had a life preserver on, but I think there were life preservers around. I don't know. I got to fall into this rabbit hole later. Seems like the Daily Mail has a lot of information on it. And so, the Daily Mail used to be a rag, but now it seems like they really vet their sources and they really do have a lot of information before anybody else. And so, sometimes it's not the worst place to go for your information. Like the worst place to go for your information might be like, some of the mainstream media in Boston who were reporting yesterday that Brian Walsh pled guilty to murder until we had to correct them. And then they retracted their story, I guess, and corrected their reporting. But Brian Walsh did not plead guilty to murder. He pled guilty to the 2 lesser charges, and he's still going to trial on the murder. And the opening statements are December 1st. We're going to cover that gavel to gavel. And they went back to pick this morning, and it was very quick. The cameras were only on for about 30 seconds. And I think they have 9 jurors already. They're looking for 16. So this is going to be pretty quick on picking the jury. And then they'll have, 2 weeks or so to prepare for the trial. But Brian Walsh was very, very polite in court this morning, I noticed. So it's going to be an interesting trial. You're not going to want to miss it. And we're going to be doing it right here. Something else interesting that happened yesterday. What did I say? Today was the 19th. Oh, really? Court TV said that too. Are you surprised? 6 men and 3 women so far, says Jenna. Yeah. Linda says mainstream media now puts down what they think they hear. I don't know. I don't know who's like even reporting for them. We heard the same thing, right? Well, I think what we're going to do first is we're going to look at last night's Canton Select Board meeting. So many of you wrote to me to tell me what Peter Murphy said, and we're going to watch it together because Queen Brenda Sweeney also had some things to say at the Select Board meeting, and noticeably absent from the Canton Select Board meeting was Chris Albert. He didn't show up. He was a no-show. He was a no-show last night. Shout out to the Canton Chronicle YouTube channel. Please give them a like and a sub. Boozy Beauty and John Como are on this channel. And we always see John Como speaking at these Canton Select Board meetings. And he's going to speak again, or he spoke again last night. So there is Chris Albert's empty seat right here on the left. He didn't show up. And it's interesting, he's not a party to the lawsuit that was filed by Karen Reed. If you weren't here yesterday for the marathon stream in which we read the 46-page complaint, every sentence of Karen Reed's civil complaint was better than the next. For any of your friends who don't know anything about the Karen Reed trial, just read that to them or send them to my stream to listen to it, because the complaint lays out in painstaking detail every single thing that these defendants did to frame Karen Reed for the murder of John O'Keefe. Boston police officer John O'Keefe III. Hold, please. Yes, need some Z's. You're gonna see what John Como says. Okay, so everyone, go on over either now or later and give the Canton Chronicle YouTube channel a sub and a like, because Lucky was never on. Lucky's brother, he usually sits right here, all the way on the right, and I don't think he was there either. But let's hear what they had to say. If you haven't seen it, it's a good watch. Let me know if you can hear it. Otherwise, I will boost this. Okay.
Each other. Anyone that does not wish audience speak, there'll be no response to any content. Later dates also. Well, good. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Select Board meeting of Tuesday, November 18th at 7 p.m. Memorial Hall, 801 Washington Street in the Sala meeting room. Just a reminder, everybody, tonight's meeting is being recorded by Canton Community Television, and it can be viewed.
Well, there was a shot of the crowd. Much more people than usual. Remember the first time we had the pleasure of watching together? Brenda Sweeney, Queen Brenda Sweeney, give her monologue for the evening. There was only maybe 4 people in the gallery, and every seat is almost every seat is filled. And the ones that aren't filled look like they have some personal items on them, because the people maybe just went to the ladies' room or the men's room. Sounds good? Okay, here we go. This is Brenda Sweeney with the Gone with the Wind shirt. She must have a cricket, because she has a new shirt every week that has a saying of part of her monologue, which I love, or her public comments, really. I call them a monologue because they're so well written. It's a hot ticket now, right? Are they going to be auctioning off the tickets? Lucky's brother's plane was delayed, says CLK. And maybe they're going to start auctioning off the tickets, Nicole, like if you guys are Curb Your Enthusiasm fans. Do you remember how Larry David tried to get the synagogue tickets for the High Holy Days on the black market? So he was paying thousands of dollars to get into temple for Yom Kippur or Rosh Hashanah. I can't remember which, but yeah, it's a hot item. All right, here we go. She made her husband a new shirt every day for the Karen Reed trial. I love it. I love it. Not only is she Martha Stewart, but she's also a wordsmith. We love Brenda Sweeney. We got to get her on here one of these days if she's willing. All right, here we go. These are last night's public comments from the Canton Select Board meeting. And first up will be Brenda Sweeney, then John Camo, and then Peter Murphy, our buddy. All right, here we go.
Tonight's meeting is being recorded by Canton Community Television, and it can be viewed at later dates also. First on the agenda is public comment period. I'll read a bi-weekly statement before we start. Public comment of the meeting is an opportunity to listen to residents' feedback and concerns. However, it's not meant to be a question and answer format. There'll be no response to any public comment when presented. The public comment portion of the meeting is limited to 15 minutes total and up to 3 minutes per speaker. Those that wish to speak should stand at the microphone and wait to be recognized by the chair. Please state your name and town you live in. Your address is not required. I would ask all members of the audience be respectful of each speaker as well as each other. Anyone that does not wish to speak or is unable to do due to the time limit may submit their comments in writing for the board's review and consideration. That being said, we'll start public meeting at 7 o'clock.
Brenda Sweeney, Canton. My opinion. They say the third-party culprit explains why John's phone was called 7 times between 12:29 and 12:50 a.m. Why Higgins was on administrative duty at Canton PD at 1:30 a.m. Why all the butt dials. Why Proctor didn't recuse himself. Why CPD was recused but still participated. Why I hit him isn't in any report. Why there was no probable cause to enter the house. Why the crime scene wasn't secured. Why we never saw ring camera footage from across the street. Why so many names were misspelled in the state police report. Why 6 drops of blood were found with his body, but not the 3 liters he lost.
Yes.
Why the ME found no signs of a vehicular strike. Why the broken bones below his neck were from CPR, not the car. Why John vomited into his underpants while he was laying down. Why the 6 a.m. search only found clear cocktail glass. Why the clear glass, later documented on the bumper, didn't match that cocktail glass. Why taillight was found for weeks on end. Why chain of custody for John's clothes and the taillight didn't begin until weeks after they were collected. Why no one ever looked for that Ford Edge. Why witnesses weren't separated, some not interviewed for months, and most interviews not recorded. Why there's Scrivener's errors in the report of the tow of the Lexus and no picture of the taillight while it was in Dighton. Why the library footage disappeared. Why one Sallyport video is missing 42 minutes and one is inverted. Why cell phones were destroyed. Why the dog's in witness protection. Why we only saw a screenshot of her phone. Why Julie wanted to give Mikey a gift. Why we heard, tell him the guy never went in the house.
Yes.
Why the ice cream truck was in the neighborhood. What remains a mystery is why some CPD command staff, Canton's Little Helpers, some Mass State Police, the DA, and some of his minions allowed these people to get away with murder, and how they can sleep at night knowing what they did. Some say if that's not a problem for them, then this isn't their first rodeo.
Whoa.
Remember Josh Levy? No fear, no favor. That oath doesn't put you above the law. It makes you guardians of it. Those we trust that with that responsibility need to be held accountable for their actions. We'll be back. Secrets don't always stay buried. Reed's legal team is bringing a sledgehammer. Those walls will come crashing down. Your chance to pretend you didn't know the truth is gone with the wind. It's called conspiracy. You should get your own deal before that's gone with the wind too. Thank you.
I love how at the end she says, thank you. I love her so much. And her shirt said, if you were not able to watch because you're driving your 18-wheeler or working on scaffolding, her shirt said, gone with the wind. And I think Sledgehammer is on our Spotify playlist for the Karen Reed trial. But if it's not, it's going on there. She's amazing. How do we get her own YouTube channel? I don't know if she has one. I really don't know. Thank you, Betsy, for coming in and gifting 5 memberships so early in the morning. I appreciate you. And Gen X Jen gifting a membership as well. So welcome to the 6 new members and a bunch of members who joined on their own. Kendra, Patty McDaniel, Just a Fly on the Wall, Kristen Jones, and Cooper's mom. Welcome. Thank you on top for being on top of the super stickers as always early. It's not really that early. I don't know why I'm so tired. It's 20 after 10. Bruins fan says, I find it odd that they won't respond to any public comments at the meeting. Why hold the meeting if the town doesn't acknowledge the people? Well, because what happens is it becomes a brouhaha, a ballyhoo, a kerfuffle. Chris Albert has spoken back before, and it didn't turn out so well for him or anyone. And so I think it's very important that the people are allowed to say their piece without having rude comments back from people such as maybe Chris Albert. Yeah, that's the thing. And so they should let the people speak without cutting them off. I think they have a 3-minute time limit, but she gets it done every week, and she prepares something new every week, and it's always current, and it's always based on what has happened that week. And a lot of the quotes she pulled from today's monologue were from the Karen Reed lawsuit that we went over yesterday at length. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. It's a great show. Next up, I believe, is John Camo. So let's listen.
Yes, sir.
Jonathan Camo, Attleboro. Seems that we have a person missing who I guess doesn't want to do some real work up here tonight.
Yes. Yes. In case you watched with me, this is the man. He's lived in Canton for over 20 years, I believe. This is his YouTube channel that we are watching right now, the Canton Chronicle. He's the one who got up that evening and had a vile phone call from Chris Albert. Chris Albert had called him the weekend before the meeting and was saying horrific things to him and said something to him like, why don't you go send some more D-pics to your stepdaughter? Do you remember that? That's him. And then after those comments, and Chris Albert was there that night, he showed up. After those comments, his ex-wife got up and she had some choice words for Chris Albert about spreading lies like that. And then his stepdaughter got up, and her stepdaughter is now a mother. And she said, do I have to be afraid to come into Canton because of Chris Albert or something such as like that? I'm summarizing. And Chris Albert still shows up most of the time. He's not there tonight. Maybe he was consoling his family over at the VFW for their watch party. He was not sued. But Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, Matt McCabe, Jennifer McCabe, and Brian Higgins were. in addition to Michael Proctor, Yuri Buchanan, and Brian Tully in their personal capacities.
For that select board member who reminded us to get real work done, well, he apparently finds himself in court because allegedly he didn't get his work done paying his own credit card bill.
Okay, so now I remember why I went off on that tangent. I don't think it was that night. I'm not sure if it was the same night that John Como made those comments, because he also comments every week. But another night, Chris Albert said, okay, now why don't we get some real work done after the public comments, which was, a smack in the face to every person from Canton who gets up, every resident who gets up to speak their voice. Now, what he has printed up here, and he's got a chalk of a docket. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. It is Capital One versus Chris Albert. And apparently he's not paying his Discover bill. So it's Capital One, successor by merger to Discover Bank versus Chris Albert. And I zoomed in yesterday and I could read the date, and it's a current date. So it's a current lawsuit. He's being sued apparently by his Discover card for not paying the bill. And John Como, in true fashion, printed it up and he's holding it up. And he's going to tell us a little bit about what this lawsuit is about. So let's just take it back to the beginning so you can listen to it without me interrupting.
This doesn't want to do some real work up here tonight. Remember that select board member who reminded us to get real work done? Well, he apparently finds himself in court because allegedly he didn't get his work done paying his own credit card bill. Again, Capital One claims Chris didn't pay his debt. They escalated it all the way to a legal format. Chris is now required to appear or respond by the March date. This is it right here. Chris wants the whole town to get work done. I think Capital One wants Chris to get some payments done. Maybe the real work he's talking about should be opening his mail, answering his debt collectors, and showing up at small claims court in front of a judge, March 25th, 2026. Thank you.
All righty then. All righty then.
Good evening, Peter Murphy, Marshfield.
All right, hang on.
My speech is going to be
It's Peter Murphy. If you don't know who Peter Murphy is, where you been? Peter Murphy retired from the Canton PD after close to 30 years. He is one of the nicest, kindest, most caring humans that I have ever had the pleasure of knowing. And while he no longer lives in Canton, he is very concerned about what's going on because it's a stain on his own reputation, having retired as a sergeant from the Canton PD. He spits the truth. He's been on Billy Bush's show. He's been on, and he's telling everyone everything. Anybody who will listen, he's got a lot to say. And he speaks almost every week. And here he is again. And he makes my heart warm too, Kristen. He's one of the good guys. One of the good guys. Nobody hates a bad cop more than a good cop. All right, let's listen to Peter Murphy.
Good evening, Peter Murphy, Marshfield. My speech is going to be brief. I want to credit Brenda for another fine job tonight but most of what Brenda said is what I was going to include tonight myself. As you know, I was a police officer in this community for almost 30 years, and I have maintained from the beginning. I believe that the select board should have impaneled a select committee to review what happened on the morning of 1/29/22. And the days after that, I believe firmly that the command staff should have been all put on paid administrative leave, that they let the community down, they let John O'Keefe down, they let Karen Reed down, they let everybody in this room down and everybody watching on that TV. I believe if you haven't seen today what was unveiled and unpeeled as far as what the civil case is going to be brought against many of the third-party culprits and eventually the town of Canton, municipal workers, police officers. It was unveiled in hours today. And I believe that Alan Jackson and the defense team wrote it out from A to Z and took all the guesswork out. So if you haven't seen that, anybody, it would behoove you to watch it on one of these podcasts. It could be the Young Jerks. It could be Melanie Little. It's all there. And they dissected all 46 pages of what that tort action is going to bring against all parties, which were named today, as well as municipal people that are going to be named. And I just want to
Thank you, Peter, for the shout out. Love you.
say that we're into the 4th year of John O'Keefe's not being able to have Thanksgiving dinner with his family and friends, while other people who might have been involved, in my opinion, are out cavorting around and going to the Legion and to the Town Club and to Wampatuck. And I think it's shameful. Justice for John O'Keefe. Thank you.
Oh, praise be. Praise be, and that's it.
I guess we're, no one else is standing, so we'll end public comment and start the,
That is it. That is the only people that wanted to speak. A lot of people there tonight. And so thank you, Peter, for the shout out. That was very sweet of you. And I will say that when I was relentlessly attacked and my family was threatened by the trolls and vile people on the cesspool of Twitter all the way back in the beginning when I started covering this case, Peter Murphy was there for me and he did a lot to help. And so I owe him a debt of gratitude, and also just for being a guy that if you need something, Peter Murphy's going to get it for you, and he's going to do it, and he's going to say what he's going to do. He's amazing. All right, moving on. Let us get on to the papers. Okay, so here's the thing. The mega motion was filed. Let me just go to the docket for 1 second, please. The mega motion was filed a long time ago in the Aidan Kearney case. And Cosgrove is supposed to respond to this mega motion in writing. And yet, he asked for an extension on the first date. I think it was only maybe 4 weeks he had. And then he wanted an extension. And then Tim Bradle and Mark Bederow, because that's what nice lawyers do. They're courteous to each other. They grant courtesies. They said, okay, we don't have a problem with that. Give him some more time. The deadline to respond to the mega motion was this past Monday. No papers have been filed. No papers have been forthcoming. And he has not asked for an extension. He has not given a courtesy call to the defense team to ask them for an extension. He has not made a motion to the court or even sent a letter to the court asking for an extension of time to answer the mega motion. And it's wild. You just don't see this in real life. It just doesn't happen. Deadlines are deadlines. You're supposed to respond to motions by the date that is given to you by the court. And if you don't, I know judges here in New York that will just automatically grant your motion if the other side defaults and doesn't respond. So I don't know what that means, that he didn't file, but we do know that he voluntarily withdrew from one of the cases, the Lindsay Gattani case. Then those charges wound up being dismissed. Now there are still 2 cases pending. The case for the McCabe's and the Alberts and some other witnesses with regard to the rolling rally, the witness intimidation case is there. And also the window intimidation case, as we call it, in which Aidan, after being at CF McCarthy's for dinner, went outside and looked in the window of D&E Pizza and was talking to the window. And Chris Albert called and asked for charges to be brought and said that he and his son Colin were very scared and they were being intimidated. And so that is the other pending case. A new judge has been assigned to Aidan's case by special assignment. I'm not going to read too much into what that means because, quite honestly, I don't know what that means. We saw that happen a lot during the Karen Reed trial when her case was specifically assigned to remain with Judge Cannone, despite the fact that Judge Cannone was moving to civil court. And there were a couple of other cases that were reassigned, like the Brian Walsh case, which had been assigned to Judge Cannone, was reassigned to Judge Frenier. And then the Harry Turk case was also, I think, assigned to Judge Cannone. That was reassigned to Judge Halal, who we really like. We call him Stanley Tucci because he looks like Stanley Tucci. And now we're calling Judge Frenier Susan Lucci because she looks like Susan Lucci. Kind of. She has great hair. So a new judge has been assigned to hear Aidan's cases. Krupp is out. The new judge's name is Belezos, Belezos. Yep, and happened in Karen's criminal case as well. And I wouldn't read too much into that right now. There has been some rumblings that this new judge went to Canton High with some people who may or may not know the McCabe's and the Alberts, but I really don't know. And so I really am not going to say that there's anything nefarious about this new judge being assigned to his case at this point. So going back in the docket, the mega motion was filed all the way back in September. There's a motion to dismiss the indictment based on all of the shenanigans that went on at the grand jury and a lot of other reasons. We've been over every single one of these motions. The mega motion took us 15 hours to get through because there were hyperlinks and we looked at every single hyperlink. And that is due to the amazing work of Olivia Nile, if she's in chat. Hyperlinked everything. Much of it is impounded, so we can't see it. But we did have a great time going over that motion, even though it took so long. There's also a motion to recuse or to disqualify the entire Norfolk DA's office from prosecuting Aidan Kearney because of the shenanigans that have been found out, because of the collusion between Ken Mello, Brian Tully, Kate Peter, Lindsay Gattani, and also because of the fact that Lindsay Gattani is going to be a witness in the cases involving the McCabe's and the Alberts and Elizabeth Proctor and whoever is left as a victim/witness in those witness intimidation cases. And the reason that Lindsay Gattani is absolutely a witness in those cases, oh, and also Lindsay Gattani is suing Cosgrove, Tully, Michael Morrissey. And so they must be disqualified because they can't prosecute a case against Aidan Kearney in which Lindsay Gattani is a witness, because in the case against them, they're going to try and discredit Lindsay Gattani. And in the case against the witnesses, they are going to try to make Lindsay Gattani seem very believable. And the reason that she is absolutely a witness in those cases is because she was served by Brian Tully with a grand jury subpoena to testify in the grand jury involving those cases as a witness. And you're going to find out from the papers we're going to read today that there is even more proof that Aidan Kearney was set up, that they would stop at nothing to incarcerate him, that he spent 60 days in jail because of these shenanigans, conspiracy, underhanded things. And there's a lot of other material that Aidan Kearney's defense team has been able to, well, they didn't really have to even uncover it because Lindsay Gattani is telling us everything. She's publishing things on Twitter, voice messages from a woman who is former, tell me, is Leah Genduso former MSP? Who also hates Aidan Kearney. It's like almost a contest of who hates Aidan the most between Kate Peter and Leah Genduso, in which she tells Lindsay, well, we're going to listen to it again because it's hyperlinked. And so I don't know if Cosgrove not even replying to this motion at all indicates that the charges are going to be dropped against Aidan like they did with the Lindsay Gattani charges, or if they intend to appoint another special prosecutor, but Marcy can't be the one to do that. It's got to go to another DA's office. I don't know that anybody's going to want to touch this with a 10-foot pole. And so December 5th is the date for the mega motion to be heard in the afternoon at 2 p.m. We're going to cover that live too. But I'm just not sure what to make of this. Are they just planning on dropping these charges too? And could that be the reason why the McCabe's and the Alberts and Higgins released a statement the day before Karen Reed's lawsuit against them went public, saying that maybe they intend to sue Karen Reed and Aidan Kearney for defamation because maybe they knew that these charges are going to be dropped? I don't know. And I guess we won't know until we know. But let's read the papers because, nothing gives me a little joy like reading a little Bederow with my coffee in the morning. I know you guys feel the same way. So let's do it. This is a supplemental affidavit in support of the motions because new information keeps coming to light that they are receiving from other sources that is not the Commonwealth. And all of the information that keeps surfacing is within the custody and control of the Commonwealth. They're not turning it over. Some of these are specific things that the defense team has asked for because they know they exist. They just don't have copies of them. Some of these things have been discovered through FOIA requests by people like Corey Hopkins. And they seem to have zero respect for Brady and Giglio and the obligations of prosecutors, ethical prosecutors, who actually turn over evidence to defendants. And I wish I could say that I'm shocked, but I'm just not at this point. Massachusetts is where your constitutional rights go to die. And this is just further proof of that. So this is Mark Bederow's supplemental affidavit in support of the motions in the Commonwealth versus Aidan Kearney. And it's got the new judge assigned to it, Judge Belazos. I'm going to call him for now. Highlighter is ready. Hold on. Mark Bederow, an attorney admitted to practice law in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, pro hoc vice, affirms under penalty of perjury as follows. This affidavit supplements my prior affidavits and is submitted as additional factual support for pending defense motions to dismiss the indictments, to disqualify Special Prosecutor Robert Cosgrove, and to compel the Commonwealth to disclose exculpatory evidence related to former MSP trooper Michael Proctor. Footnote 1 says these affidavits are dated September 17th, 2025, September 26th, 2025, October 2nd, 2025, October 24th, 2025, and October 27th of 2025. That's how many supplements the defense team has filed because of all the new information that just keeps magically revealing itself. These motions are scheduled for oral argument on December 5th of 2025. Mark your calendars, folks, 2 p.m., Norfolk Superior. In the past week, the defense has obtained 5 items of favorable and discoverable evidence, which should have been, but were not disclosed to us by the Commonwealth. 2 of the discoverable items originated from civilian witnesses, or civilian witness Lindsay Gattani. An audio recording Leah Genduso texted her on December 11th, 2023, which Ms. Gattani posted online on November 9th of 2025, and an email from Catherine Peter, aka Kate Peter, aka Mafia Masshole, not so confidential informant, to Special Prosecutor Kenneth Mello, dated February 14th, 2024, which Ms. Peter forwarded to Ms. Gattani on February 22nd, 2024, who then forwarded it to the defense on November 11th of 2025. Well, look at that. Lindsay Gattani stepping up and sending things to Aidan's defense team. I gotta say, I never thought I'd see the day. Ms. Gattani will be a prosecution and or defense trial witness. She voluntarily cooperated with the prosecution against Mr. Kearney from December 2023 until approximately September 2025, 2 whole years. During that period, she met and spoke with Detective Lieutenant Brian Tully, Mr. Mello, and Mr. Cosgrove. And they've got the receipts, and so does she, because Lindsay kept copies of everything, including the family Discord screenshots that she's been posting. In case you didn't know, there was a family Discord group with the McCabe's, maybe some Alberts, Kate Peter, and Lindsay was part of it. She's got the screenshots. Ms. Gattani's direct contact with Mr. Mello and DL Tully resulted in Mr. Mello being disqualified from a now dismissed 2024 case because his interactions with Ms. Gattani during the alleged crime made him a material defense witness. That's right. Oh, I don't know why I can't hyperlink this. Let me go back to my other copy. Hold on. Hold, please. I don't know. It worked when I tried to hyperlink it on my phone. Oh, there it is. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Well, this is kind of like a trust me, bro. This must be Mela being disqualified. Has to be the order in which he was disqualified. And I believe that order was Judge Krupp's order. Why won't it let me come back? Technical difficulties, please hold. I have 2 copies. So yeah, the PDF can't hyperlink, but the other one can. So let me just see if I can get it to work. But if I can't, unless there's something really interesting that we want to see. But I think this is just the order. Okay, come on now. I gotta take that down for a second. On December 14th of 2023, Ms. Gattani was interviewed by Tully and Mr. Mello's investigator. On December 22nd, 2023, Ms. Gattani was summoned to testify before the grand jury in connection with this matter. That's right. She was given or served with by Brian Tully a grand jury subpoena. Let me see if I can at least get that, because that makes her a witness in that case, and it's undeniable. Yeah, I don't know why the hyperlinks aren't working for me, and that's unfortunate because I thought we were going to get to look at all the hyperlinks today, just like we did last time. Maybe we'll have to go back to some of them later on in the end. In January of 2024, Ms. Gattani voluntarily provided her cell phone to DL Tully for the MSP to prepare an extraction report for the defense. And remember, Aidan was already incarcerated at that point. He went to jail, I think, on December 26th of 2023 for 60 days. That's when he voluntarily went with Brady and turned himself in. In January 2024, Ms. Gattani voluntarily provided her cell phone to Tully for the MSP to prepare an extraction report for the defense. On January 22nd, 2024, Tully applied for a search warrant to seize Karen Reed's cell phones. And guess what? They still have them, and they still want to look at them because they never did, apparently. Information from Ms. Gattani served as a substantial source of the probable cause alleged in DL Tully's affidavit. Mr. Cosgrove is currently seeking to search Ms. Reed's phones in anticipation of seeking an indictment against her and Mr. Kearney for conspiracy to commit witness intimidation based upon the same facts that serve as the basis for the existing 2023 indictments against Mr. Kearney. And that is also very odd to me. If anybody has found out what docket number that is filed under, let me know, because I have searched high and low and I can't find it. Because Cosgrove filed a motion, as you know, because we went over that a long time ago, to search Karen Reed's phones that were seized in March of 2024 And I mean, I'm sorry, January of 2024, because they never searched them. And it has yet to be, I think it was responded to, but I can't find a copy of the response because I can't find a proper working index number for it. And they made that motion. The Commonwealth made that motion all the way back. And it's 44 pages long, this motion. This was made by Cosgrove. And it was served on Steve Buzang on August 28th, 2025. And we still don't know if that's going to be granted. Because as far as I know, it has not yet been ruled on. Ken Mello was disqualified in the Lindsay Gattani case back on September 5th of 2025 by Judge Doolin. He's the one who ordered that. He ruled on that. And here's a copy of the grand jury summons. I got it to work. Okay. The subpoena that was served upon Lindsay Gattani is right here. Because this is an important piece of evidence that we just need to look at for a second. Here it is. Here's the grand jury subpoena that they served upon Lindsay Gattani. Here it is. And this was the bump. In my opinion, this was the bump. Because they knew Aidan Kearney's triggers. They knew that if they served Lindsay Gattani with a subpoena to testify in front of a grand jury against Aidan, that she would contact him, that he would want to talk to her about it, that he would go over there, that he would get her in this, they would be in the same room, and then that something they could maybe twist around would happen to incarcerate him, and that's exactly what happened. Remember the bump in the Donald Adelson case? The nudge, as some law enforcement personnel call it. Tickling the wire, they call it in other places. Here it is. You are hereby commanded in the name of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to appear before the grand jury for the County of Norfolk, 649 High Street, second floor, on December 27th, 2023 at 9 a.m. How do we know that that was a grand jury for the witnesses, for the case involving witnesses Jennifer McCabe, Matt McCabe, etc.? Because at the prior grand jury presentation, I think it was Mello conducting it. He said, I'm going to need you to come back on December 27th of 2023. You can't use it as a shield and a sword. And he served her with this on December 22nd of 2023, which led to the events for which Aidan Kearney was incarcerated for 60 days. The conspiracy in this is clearer than the conspiracy in Karen Reed, and that's saying quite a bit. The old bumperoo, says Makazi G. Makazi G, have you surfaced? Can you find your twin? Can you find your evil twin and see? Well, he's not evil, as far as I know. Anybody have proof of life on this guy? Anybody? We need proof of life. Yeah, I thought he did file it under our search warrant number, Kim. But if you look up the search warrant number, it's not in the docket. So I don't know. It's really weird. Moving on. On February 1, and 22 of 2024, Ms. Gattani testified before a grand jury that returned indictments against Mr. Kearney. Those were different indictments. In June of 2025, Ms. Gattani was called by Mr. Cosgrove as a prosecution witness against Mr. Kearney in a district court trial. Notwithstanding Ms. Gattani's testimony, Mr. Kearney was acquitted of all charges. Boy, we watched that trial. Do you remember? Do you remember Cosgrove like freaking out during Meredith's testimony? And he was like, surprise! I mean, it was crazy. Like the evil did come out in Cosgrove that day, as I recall. We watched that trial together. In the past few months, Ms. Gattani has publicly accused numerous prosecution witnesses and sources, including Ms. Peter, Ms. Genduso, Tully, and Jennifer McCabe, of assorted misconduct or other issues that adversely impact their credibility. See Bederow affidavit of October 2nd. On September 5th of 2025, Ms. Gattani sued Mr. Cosgrove and Tully for, among other things, intentional infliction of emotional distress and interfering with her rights by threats, intimidation, or coercion. That same day, Ms. Gattani also served her notice of intent to sue the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office because of the harm Mr. Cosgrove and D.L. Tully allegedly caused her. I'm just going to break for a moment to say that this presentment is required in Massachusetts in order to sue a municipality. And so yesterday, when we reviewed Karen Reed's complaint, on the first page, there were a couple of footnotes that say, we intend to bring in the Massachusetts State Police and the town of Canton after proper presentment is made pursuant to the Massachusetts general law. And here, I'm going to share this with you because Lindsay Gattani did this the right way. And there was a lot of confusion about this in the beginning, why she sent this letter. And this is why. In New York, we call it a notice of claim. And if you want to sue a municipality, I'm just using New York as an example, you have to file a notice of claim against the municipality within 90 days of your claim. And say, for example, you want to sue the city of New York. You have to serve the city of New York with a notice of claim within 90 days of the date of your accident or your claim, whatever it is that you're suing them for. And then the city of New York has the right to do a hearing. They call it a 50H hearing. They're allowed to examine you under oath, similar to a deposition. And then only after your notice of claim is filed, they get their discovery and they deny your claim, are you then allowed to sue the municipality? It's the same thing. In Massachusetts, they just call it something different. This was a letter from Lindsay Gattani dated September 5th of 2025 to Michael Morrissey, and it's RE Presentment of Claim under Massachusetts General Law 258 sub 4, Lindsay Gattani versus Special Prosecutor Robert Cosgrove. And in this letter, she sets forth the nature of the claim. She did this right. There was a lot of people were making fun of her. She did this the right way. This is what has to be done under the law. Pursuant to Massachusetts General Law 258-4, I hereby present a claim on behalf of myself, Lindsay Gattani, a resident of Norfolk County, Massachusetts, against the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office and its employee, Special Prosecutor Robert Cosgrove, for damages arising from tortious conduct related to the mishandling and unauthorized disclosure of Ms. Gattani's confidential essay report. So she goes on to talk about the nature of the claim, and she says that on or about August 8th, 2024, and continuing thereafter, Special Prosecutor Cosgrove, acting under color of law, failed to protect the confidentiality of Ms. Gattani's sexual assault report, provided in connection with an October 2023 assault by Aidan Kearney. The report was improperly disclosed to Kearney, a defendant in a related criminal case, and published in an unredacted form by Kearney and Jason Broyles, inciting widespread harassment. And then she goes on in greater detail to talk about how she suffered because of this, due to Cosgrove and Michael Morrissey, intentional infliction of she suffered emotional distress. She suffered both intentional and, oh, hold on a second. Did Cosgrove just respond to this? Kyle, is that what you just sent me? Well, we got a lot of reading to do. I need to spray my throat. invasion of privacy, and she sets forth every single claim that she's going to sue for once her claim is denied, which is what she's got to do. And she talks about the dates and circumstances, and we did go over this at length in another stream, so I'm not going to read the whole thing for you now because we have a lot of reading to do. But let me just say that this is the proper way to do it. She did it right. Surprise! Surprise! Makazi G! Surprise! Hold on. Did he actually respond to this? Oh, no. Thank you, Kyle. No, Kyle was Kyle sent me. Okay, I was confused. It said Cosgrove on it, but no, Kyle sent me the 44-page lawsuit. Not lawsuit. The 44-page motion that Cosgrove filed in August, not to get ahead of ourselves. To search Karen Reed's phones. Thank you, Kyle, for that. But I got my hyperlinks to work. So thank you. I was just very confused. I thought maybe you were sending me a new response that Cosgrove filed today. But no, that has not happened yet. Will it? Probably not. Probably not, because there's never any ramifications for anybody's behavior over there in the Norfolk County DA's office because they just do whatever the hell they want. And they never get spanked. It's like children who'd have no ramifications for their behavior. That same day, Ms. Gattani also served her notice of intent to sue the Norfolk County DA's office because of the harm Mr. Cosgrove and D.L. Tully allegedly caused her. That was the notice of intent that we just looked at. But she did file an actual lawsuit against Cosgrove and Tully for the same sorts of things. And I think that was related to her phone extraction. They released her entire phone extraction going back many, 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 many years. As a result of Ms. Gattani's civil complaint against him, Mr. Cosgrove voluntarily withdrew from the prosecution of the now dismissed 2024 case because he recognized the obvious conflict created by circumstances where a prosecutor is sued for intentionally harming a witness in a case that he is prosecuting. The defense obtained the remaining 3 items of discoverable evidence described in this affidavit after the Commonwealth disclosed them to a third party in connection with an ongoing lawsuit related to its failure to properly respond to public records requests. I think they're referring there to Queen Corey Hopkins. These 3 items of discoverable evidence consist of 2 emails from Belmont Sergeant James Syracusa to Mr. Proctor, dated September 13th of 2023, and an email from Mr. Proctor to Tully and ADA Adam Lally, dated July 11th of 2023. The Commonwealth's indefensible failure to disclose the evidence described in this affidavit are but the latest 5 examples of its complete indifference to its Brady, Giglio, and Rule 14 obligations to disclose exculpatory and discoverable evidence. See Bederow affidavits September 17th and 26th and October 27th of 2025. There they go again, setting the gold standard for all lawyers in Massachusetts who are now going to feel that maybe they should hyperlink everything too, because this way the judge doesn't have to go look for it. The judge can just click on the hyperlink and see exactly what it is that is being referred to. They don't have to shuffle through papers. They don't have to go look up things. They don't have to shuffle through exhibits. Everything is right there. The circumstances under which the defense received the Genduso recording, i.e. from Ms. Gattani's social media post rather than from the Commonwealth, and the media file's exculpatory substance support the defense position that Ms. Gattani will be a trial witness, which consequently requires Mr. Cosgrove's disqualification due to Ms. Gattani's shocking allegations of misconduct against him and D.L. Tully. See Bederow affidavit, October 2, 2025. The Syracusa and Proctor emails support the defense's contention that Mr. Proctor participated in the MSP investigation against Mr. Kearney, footnote 2, which entitles the defense to any Proctor-related Brady or Giglio material in the Commonwealth's possession, custody, or control. See Bederow affidavits October 24 and 27. He's telling them everything. No, number 2 says, At the time of the MSP investigation into Mr. Kearney, Mr. Proctor was a state trooper, was being the operative word. As the court is aware, Mr. Proctor has since been terminated from the MSP due to his disgraceful, unprofessional, and possibly criminal conduct, which, at last count, may impact up to 20 Norfolk County criminal cases. For more than 1 year, the prosecution has known that the defense intends to prove that in December of 2023, Ms. Genduso, Ms. Peter, and Ms. Gattani conspired to exploit Mr. Mello into charging Mr. Kearney with witness intimidation to increase the likelihood that Mr. Kearney's comments about or engagement with Ms. Gattani would result in his incarceration. On September 12th of 2024, I sent Messrs. Cosgrove and Mello a specific request for Brady material, footnote 3, and discovery. That was, I think, maybe the first of the Bederow letters. We have many shows going through all of the Bederow letters, each one its own distinct work of art. Footnote 3 says, a specific demand for exculpatory evidence triggers a prosecutor's obligation to investigate the defense allegation. Once information is determined to be exculpatory, it should be disclosed, period. And where a prosecutor is uncertain about whether information is exculpatory, the prosecutor should err on the side of caution and disclose it, citing a case called In the Matter of Grand Jury Investigation, which is conveniently hyperlinked for the judge's convenience. That was footnote 3. This detailed demand thoroughly described the evidence that proved the existence of a conspiracy, the object of which was to anoint Ms. Gattani a witness against Mr. Kearney. Exhibit CCC to September 17, 2024, Bederow Affidavit, pages 4 through 9. Our Mr. Bederow is quite the wordsmith, isn't he? Specifically, I quoted numerous text messages between Ms. Genduso and Ms. Gattani, which we had been provided by the Commonwealth in the extraction report from Ms. Gattani's phone. These text messages revealed that on December 11th, 2023, at 8:20 p.m., during a text exchange between Ms. Genduso and Ms. Gattani about how to jail Mr. Kearney, Ms. Genduso excitedly texted Ms. Gattani a media file, footnote 4. Ms. Genduso was an MSP trooper who resigned in 2018 after Mr. Kearney reported that an internal affairs investigation revealed that she concealed from her employer her prior involvement with a drug-dealing criminal enterprise. Well, no wonder she hates Aidan Kearney. And does the MSP not run background checks on their troopers or potential troopers, or as a matter of course in their employment investigation? Hold on one second while I go off camera to just spray my throat. I'm going to finish reading through this first, and then we'll go back and have some fun with the hyperlinks. 22. I explained that the context of Ms. Genduso's and Ms. Gattani's messages immediately before and after Ms. Genduso sent the audio recording to Ms. Gattani demonstrated that the media file appears to have played a significant role in Ms. Gattani's effort to have Mr. Mello make her a witness against Mr. Kearney. I informed the prosecution that the Gattani extraction report provided to the defense did not include a media file Leah Genduso sent Ms. Gattani during a text message exchange a few weeks prior to Mr. Kearney's arrest. I notified Messrs. Cosgrove and Mello that the missing media file was relevant, discoverable, and almost certainly favorable to the defense, citing another case which is hyperlinked, McFarland. which stands for the proposition that prosecutor must err on the side of caution and disclose evidence where evidence may be favorable to the defense. On September 26, 2024, Mr. Cosgrove responded to my September 12, 2024 demand letter, Exhibit A. Addressing the contents of Ms. Gattani's extraction report generally, Mr. Cosgrove wrote that my September 12, 2024 specific demands were without merit, in quotes, and full of various speculation. On information and belief, at no time since September 12, 2024, has Mr. Cosgrove, Mr. Mello, Tully, or any other agent of the Commonwealth sought to obtain the audio recording contained in the media file from Ms. Gianduso to Ms. Gattani. So just to summarize that for you, Bederow knew, and the defense team knew, that this voice note existed because of the text messages surrounding it, but the voice message was nowhere to be found, or voice note, or whatever they call it. And Cosgrove was like, I don't know. Kind of like Adam Lally on the stand when he was asked about why he didn't turn over those search warrants for 6 years in the Miles King case. I don't know. On November 13th of 2025, Ms. Gattani confirmed for the defense that nobody from law enforcement has ever asked her for a copy of the Gianduso media file or asked her if she maintained it. I don't know if Lindsay's been in contact with the defense team or if they are pulling from one of her social media posts. To this day, the Commonwealth has not provided the Gianduso media file to the defense, has not explained what efforts, if any, it made to obtain the evidence from Ms. Gianduso and or Ms. Gattani, and has not explained why they have failed to disclose clearly exculpatory and discoverable evidence in furtherance of its Brady and Rule 14 obligations. Yes, she has. Aidan confirmed that he emailed her and asked. Aidan emailed her and asked if they ever asked. Okay. Oh, so Aidan confirmed that he emailed her and asked. Okay, got it. Got it. All right, there you go. Thank you, guys. Thomas Keller, Turtleboy asked her about the file. If they asked for it. Okay, good. There you go. That answers that. We're so collaborative. You guys are so collaborative. On November 9th of 2025, in an ex-Twitter post, Ms. Gattani accused Ms. Gianduso of being a liar. She published a portion of their December 11, 2023 text message exchange, which evinced Ms. Gianduso's animosity for Mr. Kearney. Disturbingly, the messages released by Ms. Gattani also revealed that Ms. Gianduso fantasized that while, and this is a direct quote, trigger warn you for this, maybe, I don't know. The message revealed that Ms. Gianduso fantasized that while, quote, dressed as a ninja, staked his house out in a creep van and smashed him in the head with a flashlight, dragged him into said creepy van, tied him up and pistol whipped his nose so hard it shattered as he cried for his mama. Footnote number 5, which reads, perhaps nothing illustrates more the exculpatory nature and relevance of the undisclosed media file than Ms. Gianduso's unhinged dream of brutally assaulting a person for whom she has animosity. Clearly, the text demonstrates her obvious bias against Mr. Kearney. Moreover, this deranged message, Mark Bederow doesn't mince words either, was included in the extraction report provided to the defense, which means that the Commonwealth knew that Ms. Gianduso and Ms. Gattani had a strong motive to fabricate evidence against Mr. Kearney. Nevertheless, the Commonwealth shrugged its shoulders rather than make a good faith effort to comply with a specific demand under Brady and Rule 14. They didn't even try. Hold, please. Okay, and this exhibit. This exhibit B. We need to take a look at exhibit B. Here we go. Sometimes you just got to go to the exhibits right away because it's more fun that way. I don't know why they're doing this stuff, these dopey summaries on Google. Why? We don't need that summary. You just want to see the exhibit. Here's a tweet from Lindsay Gattani, dated 11/9/25. It's got 156,000 views. Lindsay Gattani tweeted, Kate Peter loves to have people do her dirty work. Putting Leah Bathtub Genduso on a Spaces to run her mouth and lie her ass off about me because Kate knows that Leah would become front and center. Little Miss, quote, I have a life and nothing to do with any of this, end quote. Leah is cute talking about mental health when I have a copy of her suicide note and she has dreams of murdering people. Totally normal. And then there's a little okay emoji. And the voice message is attached to that. We listened to that the other day. I can't hyperlink now, but the text messages around it say, holy crap, I just thought of something. OMG, OMG, OMG. And that's Leah talking to Lindsay. And then there's a voice note attached, as you can see by this little graphic here. And then Lindsay says, I'm going to call Mello tomorrow. I'm so nervous, but I know I just can't sit back and let evil win. Listening now. And then Leah responds, no, unfortunately, you can't. Then there's another message here where the ninja stuff that I just talked about. And then Leah says, after her ninja dream, crying for his mama, she says, Rome wasn't built in a day. And unfortunately, this process is slow, but it takes a village. So the more people who stand up to his abuse and move forward, the better. I legit had a dream where I was dressed like a ninja, staked his house out in a creep van and smashed him in the head with a flashlight, dragged him into said creepy van, tied him up and pistol whipped him, his nose so hard it shattered as he cried for his mama. And then she wrote, this is Leah texting Lindsay, yeah, I have a little animosity, LOL. And then this more extensive message from Leah to Lindsay says, no, unfortunately, you can't sit back because that will show you are weak and give him the incentive to attack. With that being said, I sense a strength in you. I think by going to Mello and becoming a part of this on a DL, I mean, maybe she meant to say on the DL, like on the down low, will inevitably help be another stepping stool. I should say stepping stone, but okay. Another stepping stool into getting this horrendous and dark-souled human to be put away for a substantial amount of time. I mean, there it is. Cooperate with us and Mello. And let's get this horrendous and dark-souled human, aka Aidan Kearney, to be put away for a substantial amount of time. I mean, if that doesn't say exactly what they're trying to do and eventually did do, then I don't know what does. Rome wasn't built in the day. And unfortunately, this process is slow, but it takes a village. So the more people who stand up to his abuse and move forward, the better. Kate has been a saint with my situation. I think she's referring to Kate Peter. She has been loyal. Hell, she drove to my RO hearing to New Hampshire when I was still there. I promise you, we aren't bad people. I mean, if anybody has to promise you that they're not bad people, what does that tell you? They're bad people. Aidan's going to have a big reality check very soon and will be, and then she leaves us hanging. I mean, is this pretty much slam dunk proof that they're trying to get Lindsay to communicate with Mello to make her a witness? And then they serve her with that grand jury subpoena? Come on. Come on. Stevie Wonder can see this. Am I right? papers. Oh, well, first let's go to the media file. Because we have the message. StreamYard is really futzing up. For those of you who didn't hear the voicemail the other day, this is even more slam dunk proof, in my opinion, of this setup. The papers go on to say, Ms. Gattani's November 9th post included a copy of the Genduso media file. Not surprisingly, its contents were exactly as I described on Information and Belief to Messrs. Cosgrove and Mello on September 12th of 2024. Buckle up, buttercups. Here it is.
Lindsay, I just totally thought of something and I'm sorry, I haven't been on the job for 5 years, so sometimes it takes me like a little bit longer to process stuff in my head and recall stuff, but I would highly recommend you going and talking to Joe Mello tomorrow, because if you become a witness, he can't do shit to you, because then that's intimidation of a witness. So there's no revenge porn, there's no contacting you, there's literally no speaking of you, there's nothing. And they could reiterate it in the discretionary stuff when it comes to the standards of the witness and the application for everything to be done by a judge, where he can't even mention your name, he can't talk about your kids, he can't dox you. Oh my God, this is like, I didn't even think of this, but by you calling Mello and having potential like information to help that case and then putting him as a witness, that gives you like the perfect thing to not have to worry about any of this, because he'll be more scared he's gonna go to jail.
Did you get all that? You can't make this up. You just can't make this a textbook conspiracy. Textbook. It doesn't get any clearer than that. Do we need to say it any louder for the people in the back? How do these people think that they're never going to be found out? How do they think that people aren't going to save receipts? In the recording, Ms. Genduso urges Ms. Gattani to meet with Mr. Mello so she would attain the status of witness, which the former MSP trooper advised Ms. Gattani would prevent Mr. Kearney from even speaking of her or mentioning her name. Ms. Genduso reasoned to Ms. Gattani that by you calling Mello and having potential information to help that case, i.e. the 2023 indictments, and then putting you as a witness, that gives you the perfect thing to not have to worry about any of this, because he'll be more scared that he's going to jail. At all times since Ms. Gattani provided her cell phone to the MSP in January of 2024, the Genduso audio recording was in the Commonwealth's possession, custody, and control. It was discoverable and favorable to Mr. Kearney's defense. So tell me, are they just lazy? Are they just lazy, or are they truly corrupt? I don't know. Spin the wheel. Because Bederow specifically asked for the contents of that exact voice memo all the way back in September of 2024. And they didn't even look for it, or they looked for it and they found it and they knew that it was going to be absolute proof of a conspiracy against Aidan. And so they just didn't want to turn it over. Did they think Bederow wasn't going to follow up, really? And then Lindsay's the one who comes through with the receipts. You just couldn't make this up. They didn't even look for it, or they looked for it. They knew how damaging it was, and they decided, yeah, we're just not going to turn it over. We'll just say it was destroyed. We'll just say it was on some retired detective's hard drive and we don't know what he did with it. We'll just say that everything was set to auto delete within 30 days. We'll just say that some of the cameras record that way, inverted. We'll just say that Michael Proctor hid it in a drawer. And Lucy says, I think we can now see why Cosgrove is hiding. The substance of the Genduso media file supports the defense contention that Mr. Kearney's enemies cajoled Ms. Gattani into becoming a witness against him for the purpose of having him jailed. Remember that there was another text message that surfaced from Jennifer McCabe to somebody. I don't know if it was Marcy, Proctor, somebody. Or no, it was a witness that signed an affidavit who was a neighbor of Kate Peter, not so confidential informant Mafia Massol, who said that Kate Peter told her that Jennifer McCabe was not going to testify at the next trial unless Aidan Kearney was in jail. Right? And there may be text messages backing that up. I don't know. I could be conflating everything in my head right now. But there were definitely text messages from Jennifer McCabe to somebody. I forget if it was Proctor or Marcy or somebody. Why can't you just do something? Right? Footnote 6 says Ms. Gattani also has publicly accused Ms. McCabe of pressuring her to become a witness against Mr. Kearney. Right. That was in Bederow's affidavit of October 2nd, 2025, in paragraphs 39 and 98. Remarkably, the conspirators' plan actually worked. Within 2 weeks, Mr. Kearney was jailed for 60 days after Ms. Gattani alleged that he committed witness intimidation during a now dismissed indictment on December 23rd, 2023, which was only 1 day after she was served with a grand jury summons. Yep, that's what happened. Originally, I believe that he was sentenced to 90 days, but at some point, it was brought to their attention that that would not be legal, that 60 days would be the max that you could hold him. And so he got out after 60, but I do believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Chad, and I know you will, that originally it was supposed to be 90 days. The undisclosed media file is favorable to Mr. Kearney because considered alongside Ms. Genduso's and Ms. Gattani's messages, it demonstrates Ms. Gattani's bias against Mr. Kearney. It provides a roadmap which exposes Ms. Gattani's motive to falsely accuse Mr. Kearney. Afforded legal protection by Mr. Mello and D.L. Tully as a witness against Mr. Kearney, Ms. Gattani was incentivized by the Commonwealth to lie, fully aware that her weak and uncorroborated allegations would lead to Mr. Mello to charge Mr. Kearney with witness intimidation, which likely would and did result in Mr. Kearney's incarceration. The combination of the Commonwealth's failure to disclose the Genduso media file, its substance, communications between Ms. Genduso, Ms. Peter, and Ms. Gattani, and Ms. Gattani's assertion that D.L. Tully tampered with the contents of her phone before the MSP disclosed an extraction report, demonstrates why Mr. Cosgrove, a civil defendant, cannot prosecute a case where Ms. Gattani, the plaintiff suing him, and D.L. Tully, Mr. Cosgrove's co-defendant, are witnesses. Here is that hyperlink about Tully tampering with the contents of Lindsay Gattani's phones. Another Lindsay Gattani tweet from October 14th, 2025. She's telling us everything. And in her tweet of this date, she tags Massachusetts State Police, Massachusetts Governor, Massachusetts Attorney General, Christina Rex, who's a reporter, Boston Globe, Gordon Russell, Globe Spotlight, WCVB, Boston 25, Ted Daniel News, WBZ, 7 News, and Boston Herald. And her tweet reads as follows. What really happened with my phone extraction and how demoted MSP Detective Lieutenant Brian Tully was involved. More information has come to light and will be addressed in the near future. And then there's a little graphic that says the aftermath. Special Prosecutor Ken Mello. It's missing an L. Special Prosecutor Cosgrove, Detective Lieutenant Brian Tully, and then there's what appears to be, I don't know, some papers all over the place and maybe a bench. Recused, demoted. Got 69,000 views as of the date this was screenshot. And then another tweet in which October 24th, 2025, she's retweeting Ted Daniel, which says judge asked to shield highly sensitive data, including intimate images from former Trooper Michael Proctor's phone. Lindsay retweets that and says, meanwhile, Brian Tully ordered Ken Mello to intentionally release 15 unredacted years of my phone extraction as a witness to essentially nothing. Ted Daniel News is the bravest reporter in Massachusetts. Say the names of the corrupt. Brian Tully, John Fanning, Michael Marcy, Kate Peter. She's telling us everything. Then there's another tweet from 10/24/25. Let me be very effing clear. Michael Proctor, as Emily, I think she meant to say Emily C noted, is a problem. But the problem is the people who enabled his behavior. Anyone who is refusing to say the names are cowards. Brian Tully. And if you are a man, men who I thought were good men, and you are too scared to speak the truth, it will not bode well for you because I will never quit using my voice. Bank on it. Okay. Just when you thought, it's going to get stranger. So let's get on with the show. Crazy, right? We still have more to read, but let's go to the chat for a moment. Good afternoon, Matilda, to the Netherlands. The world is watching. We ain't got no quit. And we are not going to stop until we see justice for John O'Keefe and for Turtleboy as well. Guy's facing close to 100 years in prison. That's the max that he could receive based on the remaining charges of, quote, witness intimidation. And it is pretty clear what went on here. At least it is to me. Thanks, Matilda, for your super chat and for tuning in from the Netherlands. And if you're watching from outside the U.S., let us know in the chat where you're watching from, because the world is watching. And there's over 8,300 of you here right now from all over the world who are interested in this case. And you could smash the like button to show us how much you care. Helps the algorithm and all. Hi, Cal. Love you too. Thanks for being here for 25 months. Gen X Gen, the new Norfolk DA candidate. He sounds swell. He was Josh Levy's right hand. We went over that yesterday. He just announced that he's going to run for Michael Marcy's seat as district attorney of Norfolk, or Norfolk, as we call it sometimes when we're feeling randy. Because it is. Most talkative. Thanks for being here for 6 months. What is the next step for him not answering? Turtleboy says the courts have not heard from him either. Shouldn't the judge be filing something? Well, they're going into court on December 5th, so it's coming up pretty soon. Thanksgiving's in between. The judge could just grant the motion on default. He could. The judge doesn't file anything. He could grant the motion. We could see if he decides the motion. We could see if he reaches out to Cosgrove. We could see. The next thing that's scheduled to happen is the December 5th hearing at 2 p.m. in Norfolk Superior. Well, Mama, thanks for your 10. Sis has court case in Indiana, defense attorney sent response 1 day late, and in response had fake cases cited. Oh, they probably used ChatGPT to write their brief. That's happened before. Judge makes ruling on response soon and possible dismissal next month, but wasn't happy with defendant. Can't wait. Congratulations, then. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for your 10. Mike B from the 413. Don't forget, who was Leah Genduso's classmate? Chippy P. Oh, I did not know that. Classmate in the police academy? Thanks, Mike B from the 413 for hanging out with me for 4 months. Beverly, thanks for becoming a member. And Catherine Smith, thanks for your 10, says, couldn't or wouldn't the jury pool see Walsh's guilty pleas? No. The body removal, they're going to have to do some more arguing about what videos are going to come in and what videos are not going to come in, but they're not going to know about a guilty plea because that's too prejudicial. That would certainly steer their opinion. I know it was strategic, but still scratching my head. Well, we're not talking about Walsh during this stream today, but we will talk about that more as it gets closer to the trial coming up. His disposal of the body afterward could be argued that it could show consciousness of guilt. And so it's a very extensive conversation that we don't have time for right now. But him pleading guilty to those 2 charges is something the jury is not going to hear about, the guilty pleas. That is my understanding of Massachusetts law. And so they're only going to try the murder case against Brian Walsh. Thanks for your 10. Sass and Turkeys, thanks for becoming a member. Darv Tato's mom, thanks for your 20, says, good morning, Melon Cupcakes from Arkansas. Hello, Arkansas. We have some stuff on Aaron Spencer to catch up on, too. That reminds me. Thanks for reminding me. Thanks, Gil, for gifting a membership. Thank you, Majestic Unicorn, for being here and for loving being here. And Manj, thank you for your super sticker. And who also says, love you, Melly. Can you please do a 6-hour show again on Friday? I have a 6-hour drive to a client and I need you for my drive. Well, you can always re-listen to something. I don't think I'll have 6 hours on Friday, but I appreciate that you want to listen to me. Amy says, how was she ever MSP? I don't know. Diane became a new member. Welcome. Sprinkles says, thank you for walking us through the craziness. We love you. You're the best. Thank you. Thank you for being here for 11 months. And Nicole says, 8,100 watching, only 2,300 likes. Let's smash and share. Thank you, Nicole, for your 5. And F and Hippie, 18 months. We've been together. Says, Mama, take this badge from me. I can't use it anymore. Yep. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Song lyrics are always welcome here. Back to Bederow's supplemental papers. In these circumstances, Ms. Gattani will accuse Tully of egregious and criminal misconduct regarding his handling of the contents of her phone. Tully presumably will defend himself by accusing Ms. Gattani of lying. Mr. Cosgrove, for his part, will be left in the untenable and hapless position of standing before the jury and refereeing an irreconcilable credibility dispute between his accuser and his co-defendant by defending Tully, which, in addition to being absurd, would be tantamount to him bolstering his own and DL Tully's credibility with impermissible, unsworn testimony against his and Tully's civil accuser. It just seems so obvious that it shouldn't have to be explained so many times, but apparently Cosgrove doesn't see how obvious it is because he's not just stepping away, as far as we know, so far. Mr. Mello and the MSP relied heavily on Ms. Peter as a source of information in their investigation of Mr. Kearney, even though they knew or should have known that her hatred of Mr. Kearney was so great that she had committed fraud and forgery to harm Mr. Kearney. See Bederow affidavit. Yes. Fraud and forgery. Remember what she did? We looked at the papers. She took a federal complaint alleging copyright infringement, and she did a little scratch and sniff. She changed the names. She changed the dates. She made the facts look like she had a lawsuit against Aidan Kearney for copyright infringement or something such as like that. She sent it to YouTube in order to get his channel stricken, but she wasn't smart enough to change the docket number, which was something like a 2013 docket number. And that's the forgery that Bederow pointed out in the affidavit from September 17th of 2025. It seems so long ago, but really it was only 60 days ago, a little over 60 days ago. I repeatedly notified Messrs. Cosgrove and Mello about the defense's concern regarding Ms. Peters' relationship with Mr. Mello and the MSP and a series of specific demands for any discoverable and or favorable evidence regarding her role in the investigation or her credibility in the Commonwealth's possession, custody, or control. See Exhibits RR, CCC, EEENFFF to Bederow's affidavit from September 17th of 2025. I know it does feel like a year ago, right? The Commonwealth has failed to disclose some of this Peter-related evidence, made untimely disclosures of other evidence, and in certain instances failed to preserve evidence that has since been deleted on information and belief by Ms. Peter. See Bederow affidavits from September 17th of 2025, September 26th of 2025, with exact paragraph numbers. And remember, there was something like a Dropbox folder or a Google Drive link to some videos that were renamed that Kate Peter may or may not have shared with Tully, Mello, that when you click on that link or that drive, it's no longer there. It's been deleted. I think that's what he's referring to there. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I know you will. On November 11th, 2025, Ms. Gattani forwarded to Mr. Kearney an email that Ms. Peters sent to Ken. She sent it to Ken. He's just Ken. Mr. Mello on February 14th, 2024. Exhibit D, which she forwarded to Ms. Gattani on February 22 of 2024. Hold, please. And here it is. Let's take a look at that, shall we? Of course we shall. Here it is. February 22nd of 2024 email forwarded from Kate Peter. And the subject is AK. They didn't even use fake initials. He's just Ken. And it's to Lindsay. And it's an email from Kate Peter, Wednesday, Valentine's Day, 2024. Subject AK to Ken Mello at 2 different addresses. Good morning, Ken. So sorry to hear about blank. Per our brief conversation, oops, come back to me. I have attached the screenshots of text messages posted to Facebook by Jennifer Altman, purported by her to be between herself and Tim Bradel. The original post was in a private Facebook group called Jennifer Altman Was Rude, but at least she has facts, created and administrated by Altman. 1, I've also noticed a couple of things about Bradel's argument just as a layman. She's giving her legal advice, but making sure that Ken Mello understands that it's not legal advice. Dissecting and analyzing Tim Bradel's argument. Hold on, I can't. Hold on. Oh, somebody said redacted was health issues. That it said, so sorry to hear about your health issues. Okay, I'm not sure, but we'll go with it, at least for now. Number 1, he never informed the jail of the mix-up, despite representing to the court that he had. His statement was pretty well impeached by testimony from the jail employee. 2, the letter Bradel provided from Dembrowski is dated 1/24/24, the day he was served with your emergency motion, suggesting to me, anyway, that there was no prior conversation, at least in writing, about these. Go away, go away. paralegal/interns. Furthermore, Ms. Dombrowski's own verbiage, she suggested to the volunteers, and now she's putting some stuff in bold here, to the volunteers that they might make themselves available to Mr. Bradel, not that she suggested the use of the volunteers to Mr. Bradel directly, as he has suggested in his response. Each one of these volunteers have ties to Aidan that predate his October 11th hearing by at least months, if not years, and no visible ties to either law firm. I've also attached some other items explained below. Boy, she's helping Mello for free because she hates Aidan that much, allegedly. I mean, there was some buzz that she was being paid by the DA's office, but I don't know that that's ever been proven. As I'm sure you're aware, I am in contact with many of the named witnesses in both cases and have been operating on a volunteer basis as support and advocacy. Wow. They share their concerns with me, and I do what I can to educate myself and them on the pertinent laws and court process to the best of my ability. So she's in contact with many of the named witnesses in both cases, meaning who? Lindsay? I don't know. Here's who the witnesses are: Jennifer McCabe, Matt McCabe, Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, Colin Albert, maybe Elizabeth Proctor. Is she one of the witnesses too that he's accused of harassing? And others. In regards to the upcoming bail review, the victims are understandably concerned that upon his release, he will flee or ramp up his behavior. I've explained to them that a cash bail amount is not punitive or designed to necessarily curb behavior, but instead to assure a defendant's appearance in court. Wow, she's really giving out legal advice, isn't she? And she's advising Jennifer McCabe and maybe Colin Albert. Okay. What a trusted advisor she is. That being said, their concern regarding Aidan's flight risk is, in my opinion, justified for the following reasons. Yeah, Aidan's a flight risk. He's going to leave his kids. Okay. One, Aidan can likely afford a higher cash bail. She's trying to basically write his brief for him. Are you kidding me? I never saw this before. This is new to me. Just from the internet, we can see that he has an active and running fundraiser for legal fees that has raised in excess of $100,000. I have attached a screen capture of the total as of today, 2/14/24. The link to the live page is here. Give, send, go. B, it is fair to estimate that Aidan has been making anywhere from $300 to $1,000 per live stream in Cash App and Turtle Chat donations. On a live stream from July 2023, Aidan read out his donations, and that amounted to approximately $2,800 in a 2-hour stream. These donations are not taxed, and it is difficult to track exactly how much he's making, although he is claiming on his blogs that he is making a ton of money and paid $60,000 for a brand new vehicle up front due to his donations, ad revenue, and merchandise sales. Wow, jeez. And then she hyperlinks Canton Cover Up Part 282. Brian Tully and Lindsay Gattani try to figure out how Turtleboy paid for his Lexus. Quote, as a result of my hard work, my following drastically increased and I made more money. I apologize to absolutely nobody for my financial success. Turtle Club memberships have increased tenfold. I used to have a couple hundred members paying $15 a month. Now I have almost a couple thousand. Donos on the live show have drastically increased. In case you haven't noticed, there are thousands of people wearing free Karen Reed and Turtleboy gear with our logo on it. That probably should have clued him in to the fact that Turtleboy is killing it. Website traffic and social media more than doubled, and when that happened, ad revenue increased. His figure of, quote, almost a couple thousand, end quote, Turtle Club memberships, Turtle Club members is a bit ambiguous, but if you cut it down the middle at an estimated 1,500 members paying $15 a month, that's $22,500 per month in revenue to Aidan, in addition to his donations and merchandise sales. These are his claims, not mine or yours. Wow. To think that she's doing this as a volunteer. She's even doing the math for him. And as Nicole says, green is not a good color for her. B. Aidan's claims to be getting 4 million page views from a month per his interview with Gretchen Voss. And then she hyperlinks that article from Boston Magazine. Quote, Kearney has no such constraints. He continued to write about the case one story after another as his monthly page views rocketed from about 1.5 million, he says, to as many as 4 million. His website is using Google AdSense to bring in ad revenue. The average CPM for Google AdSense is around $2, meaning they pay $2 per 1,000 views to website operators. At 4 million views per month, he is likely making approximately $8,000 a month in ad revenue alone. C, at his October 11th, 2023 arraignment, Aidan was found indigent by probation per the interview they conducted. Despite the aforementioned revenue Aidan is likely generating every month and his recent purchase of a brand new luxury SUV in cash. Didn't they at one time claim that Karen Reed gave him that Lexus SUV? And in this insane witch hunt, they were somehow able to get Nathan Reed's and Karen's father's banking records in their witch hunt to prove that, which is just wild to me. They did. They said it came from Karen's family. This suggests to me that he is likely to attempt to hide assets and resources from the court that could be used to aid in his flight. A conservative estimate of Aidan's monthly cash revenue right now, gleaning from the factors and information outlined above, is around $35,000 a month or $420,000 a year. This is in addition to the $100,000 that he has raised through the Give, Send, Go campaign. Yeah, we're in the land of the lost. You're right. We got to put Chaka up in the corner. Land of the lost. Chaka sometimes needs to be the mascot. D. Aidan's home is currently valued at approximately $643,200 as per a Zillow estimate. Screenshot it. Wow, she really went to all lengths investigating how much money Aidan makes, in her opinion, to try and convince Mello to set higher bail. E. Aidan has received additional revenue via public appearances relating to Karen Reed. $1,500 for an appearance and Q&A at the Star Drive-In in Taunton. $2,500 for an appearance at a comedy show is all that is known to us at this time. Who else is she working with? What do you mean to us? I thought this was just you doing this for free and out of the kindness of your heart to help Ken Mello. But now she says us? I mean, you just can't make this up. Two, Aidan poses a potential flight risk. A. Aidan has made statements to Lindsay Gattani expressing his belief that he is likely to be convicted and his thoughts/desire to abscond, indicating that he has a large sum of cash, wishes to, quote, toss his phone into a river and, quote, disappear. I've attached the screenshots and the messages can be found in her phone dump as well. Oh, yes, the phone dump. B. Aidan called the Holden police on 12/24/23 to inquire about the bolo. And according to Holden, police made a promise to turn himself in that day. Instead, he evaded police who were driving by his house looking for him and looking to serve him the restraining order for 3 days until eventually turning himself in at 12 p.m. on 12/26/24. He later sent a message to his followers from jail, placing blame squarely on his victim and referring to himself as a, quote, fugitive during that time period, indicating to me, at least, that he was knowingly and purposefully avoiding authorities. Screenshot attached. Message from Aidan. Today was my 6-year-old son's first basketball game. It was something I've been looking forward to for a long time. I missed it because someone made up a lie about me with no evidence. I missed it because I asked questions to cop killers, peacefully protested, and exposed corruption. When my kids ask where I am, and say that they miss me, it's a reminder that the person and people who did this chose not only to hurt me, but to hurt them too. They wanted to wish their dad a happy birthday and didn't understand why I couldn't return their messages. I was putting on an orange jumpsuit. That's right. That was his birthday, the day after Christmas. They wanted to know why I couldn't be there to open presents on Christmas. Daddy was a fugitive because a bad person made up a lie. I will be fully exonerated and come back stronger than ever, but I will never get a chance to see them open their Tatum and Brown jerseys that we are going to wear to a Celtics game that I got them tickets for in the spring. I will never see his first basketball game. They may think they're hurting me, but what kind of person wants to hurt children? God is testing me and my faith will carry me through. I look forward to court in Dedham at 9 a.m. on Monday to begin the process of reuniting with them. I mean, if this doesn't definitively prove that Kate Peter was working with the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, then I don't know what to tell you. It can't be any more clear than all of this alleged evidence and proof that Kate Peter is voluntarily providing to Ken Mello. Okay, the sidebar order to release the sidebars was granted. Okay, we'll cover that after this. I had a feeling that was going to happen, so it doesn't surprise me. But I'll cover it when we're done with this. C. Aidan has followers all over the country who support him financially and could likely aid and abet his escape through financial contributions, obstruction, and potentially harboring him anywhere in Massachusetts or the country. I have also been documenting the messages from jail he has been dictating for his people to post on his social media and blog, some of which we are wondering may constitute further intimidation. At a minimum, he is openly continuing to taunt the named victims in his cases. I will draft another email detailing this in the interest of time and organization, as I know it's a lot, and addresses the witnesses' concerns and desires regarding the bail conditions, not the actual cash amount. Okay. And she says right here that the things that she is sending to Mello is addressing the witnesses' concerns: Jennifer McCabe, Matt McCabe, Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, Colin Albert, and all the other Alberts and McCabe's involved here. Maybe a proctor. And that she is the spokesperson for them. And she has been anointed by them to address their concerns with Ken Mello regarding Aidan Kearney. Let me know if you have any questions. XOXO. Kate Peter. Numbers redacted. We don't want anybody calling her. Imagine hatred so great that it fuels you into working for free, allegedly. Higgins is not an alleged victim of Aidan Kearney, I don't think. Right? Higgins is not involved in that because he wasn't involved. They didn't roll by his house in the rolling rally. Wow. Just wow. It's an obsession, right? Jenny and Georgia says it's an obsession. This is so damning. But this Exhibit D that we just read is a long ass email in a lot of detail that Kate Peters sent to Ken Mello. Kate Peters sent it to Ken Mello on Valentine's Day of 2024. Remember, that was before the first Karen retrial, and that was right around the time. It was right before, actually, Aidan got out of jail. Because remember, the day after he got out of jail, there was a Karen Reed hearing that he went to. And Kate Peter got Lindsay Gattani an invitation, maybe, from Paul O'Keefe to come to court that day so Aidan would have to leave. Right? I mean, isn't that a fine way to spend your Valentine's Day by writing about a person that you hate? Wild. The level of hate that needs to be involved. Paragraph 43. In her email to Ken, Ms. Peter referenced a prior conversation with Mr. Mello and then essentially instructed him on how to fashion an argument to keep Mr. Kearney in custody. This email was discoverable and has been in Mr. Mello's possession, actual possession, since Valentine's Day of 2024, but has never been disclosed to the defense. Footnote 8. Well, footnote 7, which I guess I missed, was up here. And that is regarding the email that Ms. Peter sent to Ken that we just read. And it says, Ms. Peter apparently was so familiar with the investigators that in addition to referring to Mr. Mello as Ken, she referred to Sergeant Yuri Buchanan as Yuri in her communications with him, according to Bederow affidavit of September 17th, 2025. And then footnote 8 says, on October 24th, 2025, as part of a motion seeking an extension of time to respond to the defense motions, Mr. Cosgrove informed the defense that Mr. Mello, quote, has located certain materials which he believes may be relevant to his response to the defense motions, which Mr. Mello mailed to Mr. Cosgrove on October 21st of 2025, right? Putting aside the questions of when and where Mr. Mello located these materials, almost 1 month later, the Commonwealth still hasn't provided any of these materials to the defense. Do you think that, Kazi G's hair is on fire and he just ran away screaming? Because he did say that in his motion for more time to answer the mega motion that he just got some stuff from Mello on October 21st and that he mailed them by snail mail or something. UPS, I forget what he said. Remind me. And that so he was going to need to use those materials in his response. And that was one of the reasons that he wanted an extension of time. And he got it. And that date to respond has come and gone. It was supposed to be filed 2 days ago on Monday. Today's Wednesday. The only reason the defense is aware of this communication is because Ms. Gattani gave it to the defense. Well, this makes it clear that Lindsay is now helping Aidan Kearney's defense. I never thought I'd see the day. Did you? On or about November 11th, 2025, the defense obtained 2 emails sent by Belmont Police Sergeant James Syracusa on September 13th, 2023 to Mr. Proctor's MSP email account. Well, of course, we're going to have to look at those. Are you kidding me? But there's a footnote first on this page. Footnote 9, which reads, Sergeant Syracusa is Mr. Proctor's brother-in-law. Oh, come on now. Oh, come on. I didn't know that. Did you know that? Every day, I think I'm not going to be surprised by something new. And then it turns out I'm surprised by something new. Okay, well, now I got to see these emails. And here we go. Olivia, we're hyperlinking. We're doing the hyperlinks. Not all of them, because some of them we've already read at length. But I mean, Olivia says, come on, did you expect any less? I don't know. I feel like we know it all. And then the more we know, the more you know, the more stuff just comes out and it just becomes even more explosive. Shout out and kudos to Olivia Nile for hyperlinking everything for us. It's the cherry on top of the madness Sunday, says narcoleptic insomniac. And Zoe says, Zoe, our resident statistician who did the Lord's work and told us that there were 204 sidebars in Karen Reed's second trial. Zoe says, public servants in Canton have a family tree that forms a bush. Well done, girl. And here's an email from this James Syracusa, who happens to be Michael Proctor's brother-in-law at Belmont PD, to Michael Proctor. And the subject is forward. relative of Belmont employee. And this goes back to, maybe I should start at the bottom. No. To Michael Proctor at his work email, forward, relative of Belmont employee, Wednesday, September 13th, 2023. And Mr. Syracusa, or I'm not sure what his title is, let's say James says to Chip, see below. I was BCC'd on this one. I'll forward you the other one. As far as I know, there have only been two. And his name, I guess he's a detective. He's Detective James Syracusa. And he's and he's Michael Proctor's brother-in-law. And he's forwarding this, which is an email from Bay State EdWatch to the select board and some other people here in Belmont. And the patch. Subject, relative of Belmont employee. It says the following. Greetings. According to blogs written by a local journalist, the state police detective discussed in the articles below is the brother-in-law of a Belmont police officer. The state police officer is married to a woman whose maiden name is Syracusa. They're talking about Michael Proctor. They're talking about Elizabeth Proctor. They're talking about the Belmont police officer is Detective James Syracusa, who is the brother-in-law, and the blogger, I'm assuming, is Aidan Kearney. Also, there are many twists and turns in this case, but a few appear to be the responsibility of this state police detective. These include, but are not limited to the following: falsifying the time he had Karen Reed's car towed from her parents' house in Dighton. Oops. Having Ms. Reed's car towed all the way back to the Canton police station, bypassing at least two Massachusetts State Police barracks much closer, in spite of the fact that the Canton police were no longer in charge of this investigation. And then hyperlinking some articles from Boston 25 News, Turtleboy Daily News, 2 articles, 3 articles, 4 articles from Turtleboy Daily News. I don't know. I'm gonna do a wild guess here, and say that this email came out as part of Corey Hopkins' FOIA request. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Here's another email. This is Exhibit F. This is an email from James Syracusa to Michael Proctor, September 13th of 2023. Here's the other one from back in June. Again, from this Bulldog EdWatch. I don't know who that is. Looks like some of the email addresses are redacted, but to the select board in Belmont. Subject, Belmont, we need to do better. And Bulldog EdWatch writes, and this was forwarded to Michael Proctor, I am writing as someone who has long valued the Belmont community and who holds in high regard its public officials. The past 2 months, I have overheard numerous allegations and what I assume are rumors in connection to an ongoing incident in Canton, Mass. Inside restaurants, retail stores, etc., the gossip regarding a member of the Belmont Police Department and his or her relationship to the wife of a state trooper has been ubiquitous. From what I recall, this community has not been one to engage in petty gossip mongering. What I find even more disturbing is the fact that these allegations all seem to have been ignited by some independent news journalist who publishes this blog link below. Belmont, we need to do better and stop the gossip. This goes back to June 21st of 2023, and it is important to point out, Turtleboy did not even start writing about the Karen Reed case until April of 2023, right? So within 60 days, so many people in power are trying to get Turtleboy Trying to get him. And there's a link to Turtleboy Daily News. Jennifer McCabe offered support on picture shared by John O'Keefe's mother, wife of state trooper who planted evidence, laughs at people suggesting Karen Reed is innocent. That's right, Kyle Cowden. It sure was not given to the defense in discovery. It sure wasn't. This came from a Freedom of Information request by a queen named Corey Hopkins, who may have just succeeded in getting all the sidebars released. And after we go through this, we will go through that. Let me just, I know that 1,000 people have emailed it to me so far. So let me just take a quick look at it because maybe we can cover it quickly. We can cover it quickly, so let's cover it now. It is an order from Justice Beverly Cannone. Hold on. Hold, please. That was just docketed, I guess, today. Today's November 19th still, right? Yep. Yep. That's what we do. Breaking news. Breaking news. Corey Hopkins made this happen, even though Judge Cannone in her order clearly is going to make it look like she's responding to Adam Lally's motion for clarification on the sidebars. This is a cold read, so hold please while I pull it up and we read it together. Breaking just now. And who do I credit with this? Kyle Sharkey. Kyle Sharkey, you're the man. You're the man of the day. This is the order filed by Judge Beverly Cannone. In the case of the Commonwealth versus Karen Reed, just hot off the press. In response to the Commonwealth's motion seeking clarification regarding sidebar transcripts impoundment, the court issues the following order. Order. It is hereby ordered that all sidebar conferences prior to both trials and occurring during the trials, other than those that discuss jurors or juror issues, shall be transcribed and made available. The court finds that good cause exists to extend the impoundment orders for all sidebar conferences that discuss jurors or juror issues. See Uniform Rules of Impoundment Procedure Rule 3A. So ordered. XOXO. Beverly J. Cannone, Justice of the Supreme Court, dated today, November 19th of 2025. Yeah, the real question is how long will it take to transcribe them? We've learned that many of them are already transcribed. Many of them are already transcribed and in the Commonwealth's possession. We do know that. And so they will be made public. You'll have to schedule a dramatic reading. Melisa has already said that she wishes to play, I think, Hank Brennan. I said that I would play Judge Cannone, and we will be casting for the other roles for our dramatic reading of the sidebar conferences once they are released. This may be the first time I've ever agreed with a decision of Justice Beverly Cannone. This is the right decision because the sidebar transcripts are part of the public trial record, and the public has a right to know. Thank you to Corey Hopkins for filing that lawsuit, because now her lawsuit is moot, because it has been ordered by the judge who heard both trials that these sidebar transcripts are coming. We are at Unimpound Town, at least for this part of the Karen Reed case. Unimpound Town, baby. I don't know. Somebody's asking if juror issues refers to jury tampering. That will remain to be seen. I do know that the day that Mark Bederow and I were in court together, it was Flag Day. It was June 14th, 2024. And I remember that. There were a bunch of jurors that were called up to the bench at sidebar. And I don't remember who the pool camera was. Maybe it was Court TV. Court TV got one of the jurors on camera, and they had to shut off their cameras for the rest of the day. And everyone at home was freaking out and wanting to know. We got a million text messages. What's going on? Why did they shut off the cameras? And that was the reason, because the camera caught a juror on camera by mistake, because nobody said shut the cameras off. The jurors are coming in. Hold on. And those jurors were questioned about things having to do with what was going on in the jury room. And I don't know exactly what it was. And I don't know if anybody knows exactly what it was. Things like that will not be released, because it did lead to the dismissal of one of the jurors, I believe. Things about jury tampering, the jury tampering that was alleged in the motions by the defense by saying something like John Fanning was in charge of the jury, and therefore he may have tampered with the jury. I don't think that those would fall under discussing. I don't think those would fall under not being transcribed, because that was an evidentiary issue, and that was contained in the motion to dismiss, or one of the motions. And so I think that we will be able to see that one. I can't tell you for sure, but I think it's a great question. And I certainly want to see that sidebar. She never ordered an evidentiary hearing on that, which I think was a huge mistake. People think she's protecting Fanning. She did just say in her order, he was not even in the courthouse at all, ever. He had never had anything to do with the jury, and that was that. But anything that identifies the jurors or their identities or their issues, or, having a sick kid or being dismissed, or things that were discussed with the jurors at sidebar, those things will not be released. So Nurse Kim will be very happy that we're going on in Pound Town, everyone. It will take some time to transcribe all of those sidebars, but many of them are already transcribed, as Adam Lally pointed out in his motion, right? Praise be. Queen Corey doing the Lord's work. Well done. And now we get back to our regularly scheduled topic, which is Mark Bederow's supplemental response, maybe like his 5th or 6th supplemental filing with regard to the Aidan Kearney motions. And we are on page 15. And we just looked at the 2 emails uncovered again by Queen Corey Hopkins between Michael Proctor's brother-in-law, Detective Sergeant James Syracusa of the Belmont PD, and Michael Proctor. The roots of the family tree in Massachusetts are awfully twisted, aren't they? I mean, it's crazy. The Syracusa emails relate to Mr. Kearney's criticisms of Mr. Proctor. Sergeant Syracusa forwarded these emails to his brother-in-law, after Sergeant Buchanan emailed Mr. Proctor investigative reports about Mr. Kearney and sought Mr. Proctor's investigative feedback, footnote 10, which reads, these discoverable reports were in the Commonwealth's actual possession since July of 2023, but have never been disclosed to the defense. See Bederow affidavit. I mean, this just gets more and more and more egregious. The more I read, the more egregious this is, okay? Let me just pause for a moment to explain to you the obligations of an ethical prosecutor. It's really the obligations of every prosecutor everywhere, but apparently they don't seem to take it very seriously in Norfolk County, Massachusetts, as we know, because we've been here for 2 full seasons of the persecution of Karen Reed, and we've also followed many other cases in Massachusetts and many other cases in Norfolk County. Prosecutors are duty bound to turn over evidence to the defense so that the defendant can receive a fair trial. They are duty bound, not just under the Constitution, but under state laws, state rules, Rule 14, which requires automatic disclosure of all evidence related to the case, including exculpatory evidence, and the district attorney does not get to make the determination of what's relevant and what's not. It's all supposed to be turned over. And Michael Morrissey knows this. And you know how we know that Michael Morrissey knows this? Because when we read those letters from Michael Morrissey and Lynn Beland to acting U.S. Attorney Josh Levy all the way back in the day, those letters were in 2023. Some of them, I think, were before Aidan Kearney even started reporting on this case. And remember, the federal grand jury was convened, correct me if I'm wrong, I know you will, in April of 2023, which was before or just around the same time that Aidan Kearney started reporting on the Karen Read case. So Aidan Kearney's reporting had nothing to do with the feds getting involved. It had nothing to do with the federal grand jury being convened. So when they try to gaslight you to make you think that he somehow is responsible for what has happened to them, meaning them, the FBI witnesses, the people the FBI truck went to talk to, including Jennifer McCabe and others, that had nothing to do with Aidan Kearney, okay? Thank you, Glamasuz. Glamasuz says that this is correct. Colin appeared before the federal grand jury before Aidan's reporting. It was April 10th of 2023, she believes. Right. They went to Bridgewater State or wherever he was, whatever college he was at, to visit him, to report, to give him a subpoena to come in to test. And that was before Aidan Kearney ever started reporting on this case. So when these witnesses try and gaslight you, and their flying monkeys and minions try and gaslight you into thinking that it's Aidan Kearney's fault that these people were harassed by the FBI and harassed by, people, don't let them fool you, because the federal grand jury was convened before he ever started reporting on this. What does Cardi B say about it? The house of cards is crumbling. So the timeline is really important. And we know that in the spring of 2023, when Michael Morrissey got wind from his flying monkeys that this federal grand jury was being convened and all of his witnesses in the Karen Read case were now being subpoenaed to testify in front of the feds, he started going nuts. He started going crazy, and he started ramping up, and he started writing lots of letters to Josh Levy, and we went over them all. And as the letters went on, he started getting a little bit more and more frantic. But in the body of those letters, he always made he always pointed out, he made it very, very clear that he had Brady obligations. And so therefore he needed to know what the feds knew, and he needed to know what the feds had, and he needed to know what the feds were investigating, because he had Brady obligations, and whatever it was that they knew and had, he needed to know it and have it so that he could turn it over to the defense, because he has Brady obligations to turn that stuff over. So we know that Michael Morrissey knows his Brady obligations. And what we also know is, based on what we're reading here in Bederow's latest, they just don't care. They just don't care. And we know that also from Lally's testimony in the Miles King evidentiary hearing on the motion to dismiss there, which was aborted, and Proctor was there too. He was supposed to testify. Alan Lally just didn't care. Proctor never gave him search warrants for 6 years. He never followed up. He just didn't care. I don't know. And Lally's worked there since 2005. It should be criminal. It should be. It's outrageous. And the world is watching. And you are the world. You are the world. You are the eyes of the world. Right. Moving on. And B, 10 days after an exasperated Mr. Proctor, in a group text with DA Michael Morrissey, Sergeant Buchanan, and others, disparaged Mr. Kearney and recommended that they just arrest him. That was in the October 24th affidavit of Bederow. Proctor said, "Why don't we just arrest him?" And he had a nickname for Aidan, and I'm not sure what it was, because that has been redacted. 47. The Syracuse emails are discoverable and have been within the possession, custody, and control of the Commonwealth since September of 2023. Nevertheless, they have not been disclosed to the defense. We only became aware of them when the DA released them as part of a public records production in a pending FOIA lawsuit. Yep. Corey Hopkins again. On or about November 11th, 2025, the defense became aware of a July 2023 email Mr. Proctor sent to Tully and ADA Lally, Exhibit G. In that email, Proctor informed them that protests were planned to occur in the vicinity of his home, the DA's office, and the McCabe residence. Let's see what that email has to say. I mean, if there was ever a case of textbook conspiracy, this is it. And here it is, Exhibit G. This is an email from Michael Proctor to Brian Tully, copying Adam Lally regarding Reed court date, July 11th, 2023. And he's responding to an email from Tully on July 10th, which says, FYI, trial court security mentioned to me there's talk of a protest outside the courthouse for the next court date for Karen Reed, which I had also heard. I have asked the MSP Watch Center to monitor the internet in an effort to determine what sort of crowd is expected. What's the MSP Watch Center? I have questions. Their concern is a crowd interfering with court business, i.e. blocking egress or disruptive in the hallway. Michael Proctor responded to Tully, copying Lally, and says, there's also plans to have a protest outside of my home on July 21 or 22, as well as the office and McCabe House. The McCabe House. They will now forever be known, well, the 34 Fairview attendees will now forever be known as the House defendants, as they were referred to in Karen Reed's new lawsuit. The House defendants. This email was discoverable and has been in the Commonwealth's possession, custody, and control since July 11th of 2023. It has never been disclosed to the defense. The above referenced examples of the Commonwealth's failure to disclose exculpatory and discoverable evidence, combined with the litany of examples described in my prior affidavits, leaves little reason for the court to conclude that the Commonwealth has fully complied with its obligations under Brady, Giglio, and Rule 14. Referring again to Bederow affidavits of September 17 and October 27. The Commonwealth's pervasive, years-long failure to disclose specifically requested exculpatory and discoverable evidence, which has led to the destruction of some material evidence, has caused Mr. Kearney irremediable harm and is so egregious, deliberate, and intentional that it gives rise to a presumption of prejudice, citing a couple of cases and the defense memorandum of law from September 17. At a minimum, the factual allegations included in this supplemental affidavit present additional material questions of fact that the court should resolve at an evidentiary hearing before ruling on the pending defense motions. They should have an evidentiary hearing, will they? XOXO, Mark Bederow, dated November 17th, 2025. And certificate of service saying he served it on Cosgrove. I mean, every day's a new day, right? Every day's a new day. We do learn new stuff every day. And Tony, thanks for your 5, says Adam Deach is familiar with dog bites. He exonerated a Milwaukee man who was in prison for 23 years. I hope he makes a good impression to voters. Well, he's the guy that we were talking about before who's running for DA against Michael Marcy. He also was the right hand to Josh Levy during the investigation of the murder of John O'Keefe. And so he knows a lot about this, and he knows a lot. And he could be an excellent candidate for District Attorney of Norfolk County. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I mean, the other people that are running have not taken advantage of all of the things that they could be talking about, in my opinion. And so perhaps he'll be an excellent candidate. We'll see. Sue says Kate Peter has been working with a Massachusetts attorney now living in Florida who despises Aidan. He has been in trouble with the Florida bar, and he is not Florida barred. Thank you, Glamour Sue, for your 5. Lisa, thanks for becoming a member. Angel from Australia has been here for 10 months, says not in chat a lot, but thank you, Melanie, sending love. Oh, thank you. I'll accept all love and all the hate. If you're hate watching, also please hit the like button because, algorithms and all. A watch is a watch after all. Ellen Cooper, thanks for becoming a new member. And Jen, thanks for becoming a new member. Catherine says, Canton must be the new Hollywood. This is going to be a long movie or a 60-part series. My head is blown. I think you're not alone. You're not alone, Catherine Smith. Thank you for your 10. Kelly says, Olivia Niall is an invaluable gem. Yes, she is, Kelly. Thanks for being here for 10 months. You're awesome. And we're just like normal ninjas. Says, I changed my name. Formerly hot for the hillside. Yeah, low comps at the hillside, right? Low comps at the hillside. Thanks for being here for 11 months. Wildflower has been here for 16 months and says the sidebar is now open for the holiday season. I mean, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. Allie says, I'm beyond impressed with the women in this movement. You, Melanie, Kimmy, Nurse Kim, Olivia, Corey, Emily C. Forgive me if I've forgotten anyone. Let's go, ladies. And let's not forget about the ladies who testified in Karen Reed's trial number 2. Dr. La Posada, Dr. Russell. I mean, the ladies are bringing the power. And there's a lot of men out there too who are also doing the Lord's work. But thank you, Allie, for recognizing us. Because listen, we take a lot of heat. Kimmy and Olivia and I take a lot of heat on a daily basis. A lot of it. A lot of hatred and vitriol is spewed at us and about us and our families on a daily basis, from what I understand. And so we're still not shutting up. We're still here. We're still talking. And I don't know about Olivia and Kim, but I will speak for myself when I say the more you try and shut me up, the louder I'm going to be. Kind of like Chloe might have been with an arm, not letting go. But I'll be here all week, folks. DK, thanks for 25 months, girl. You are the OG. So DK, you and Aunt BB too. So since you started covering this case in January of 2024, we all asked, will John O'Keefe ever get justice? I do believe now he will. This is beautiful. Thank you for all your time and research. Love you. Thank you. Thank you. I've been very outspoken since I was a child and never been afraid to stand up for what I believe in. And this I believed in very, very strongly from the time I first started digging into those original police reports, because John O'Keefe was not hit by a car. A car did not hit John O'Keefe because injuries and science. Thank you, D. CLK says, does Turtleboy have a good chance of a 1983 lawsuit? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, he does. Because based on all of these receipts, and there seems to be a lot more that Lindsay Gattani has, not just to help Turtleboy, but to screw many of the House defendants, let's just say. There seems to be a lot more. And yes, I absolutely think he's got a good chance of a 1983 lawsuit. These cases will be keeping us busy on the internet for years. Thanks for being here for 3 months. Sleepwatcher, thank you for becoming a member. Linda says, remember to hit the like button, everybody. And Brigitte says, the dots are connecting, and hopefully the dots and the FBI will, the FBI will finish connecting the dots. Thank you, Brigitte, for your 5. And Boxer Mom became a new member. So in case you're just tuning in, Judge Beverly Cannone has decided that she, in fact, is unsealing the sidebars for both Karen Reed trials. Here's Peter Murphy. Peter Murphy's here. We love you, Peter. I had some nice words to say about you in the beginning of the stream when we played your Canton Select Board comments from last night. Thank you for the shout out. And I told everybody how amazing you are and how much we love you. Peter Murphy says, this debacle of a so-called Massachusetts justice system, the feds will swoop in hot. You heard it from Peter Murphy first, and you heard it from Peter Murphy going back many years. Right? So Judge Cannone has agreed to release all the sidebars in Karen Reed Trial 1 and 2, except for things that have to do with the jurors or juror issues or identifying the jurors. And she ordered that in response to Adam Lally's motion for clarification that he's single-spaced. That upset me very greatly as a legal writer. But in my opinion, that decision had to be made. That order had to come down, or else they were going to face the wrath of Corey Hopkins' lawsuit. And now her lawsuit is moot. They're being released. And soon, however long it takes for them to transcribe them, we will be able to read them together. And that's going to take weeks. It's going to take weeks. It will take weeks to get through all of the reading of all of those sidebars. But boy, are we going to have a good time acting them out. See if there's anything else that I need to talk to you about before we break this stream for the day. But as you know, so many things break during the day that we oftentimes come back. Thank you, Britt Happens, for your Cash App. She says, I love your guts. I love your guts. I love your guts too. Thank you, Britt Happens. You know what? Send me an email with a link to your channel. YouTube's been hiding people on the, and it's weird. And then I couldn't. YouTube was like, had a weird thing where if you clicked on a link to a video, it didn't take you to the video. It took you to like your homepage or wherever you were last on YouTube. So I couldn't do it. So Britt, if you send me an email, I'll see if that's what the problem is. And I will try to fix it for you. Also of note, the Lindsay Clancy trial has been pushed to next summer. Oh, thanks, Rebecca, for your Venmo. And she says, I realized I had paused you and not realized it was over. Sorry. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to Rebecca, everyone. Everybody say happy birthday to Rebecca. Happy birthday, girl. Somebody sent me something about a serial killer in Massachusetts. I'll have to look at that later. Don't know what that's about. We did look at the select board meeting earlier in the stream. We read the entire supplemental affidavit from Mark Bederow. And I can just not emphasize to you enough how improper it is for a district attorney to not turn over things in its possession, custody, and control that have been specifically requested by Mark Bederow in all of his many letters and filings. Nancy is pushed to July 20th, 2026. Thank you, Emily C. Thank you. I love you very much. All right. All right. Happy birthday. All right, you guys. I'm going to go. Thank you, Fallen Hero, for your super sticker. And thank you, Law Nerd JM, for your compliment and super sticker or super chat. And Dark Tater's mom says, Mel, please do a live stream of past cases. Some cupcakes don't know the wrath of an Irish gal. You weren't afraid to sue the Catholic Church. Trolls have no clue. I know. Yeah, it's kind of funny though, right? I don't know what kind of cases you want to talk about. I'm really into right now the Murdoch Hulu series. For those of you who have not watched it, it's good. It's good. Patricia Arquette is everything. And Jason Clarke, who plays Alec Murdoch, has his mannerisms to a T. And so I went back and started watching Alec Murdoch's testimony again. And I forgot how wild it was. And I forgot how much snot poured out of his nose while he was testifying. It was so disgusting, wasn't it? And also, where are my morning show people? Did anybody watch the season finale of the morning show? I don't want to spoil it for you, but I love the morning show. I love Jennifer Aniston. I love Reese Witherspoon. And I was a bucket of tears last night at the end of that finale. Did anybody watch it? Oh, you guys are watching Goliath because I suggested it. Isn't it amazing? I'm glad you like it. Well, Cupcake says, I love that t-shirt that says, I can't keep calm. I'm Italian. Even better, Italian-Irish. Ashley's watching Goliath. So good. I love the morning show. It's on Apple TV. Oh, then I won't spoil it for you, Zoe. Get to it. Finish up so we can discuss All right. Thank you to the moderators for keeping it classy today. You guys are out there doing the Lord's work every single time. These cases are very, very hard to cover. Very hard to cover because the trolls are out in full force because they just want to shut us up and come in and insult me. But, we get them. Proctor Got Waffled sent a membership. Thank you very much for gifting. You're amazing. You guys are great. Hey, Martin, we already went over it. Martina, I'm sorry. Martina, we went over the order. The judge is releasing the sidebars. We went over the order. Just rewind a little bit. You'll see the order up on the screen. And I explained it. And I don't think there's any more questions about it. We're going to Unimpound Town, babies. We're going to Unimpound Town. All right. Please do all the things that YouTube likes. You know what they are. Comment respectively. Share the stream out. Hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribed. We're bumping up on 130,000 members, and it would be really great to get there before the end of the month. You guys are amazing. Stay cool, stay kind, stay classy. I know that you can do it. I know you can. As far as the rest of the world, I don't know. Just stay safe out there, you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Maybe I'll see you later. You never know. Peace out.